So I read the last uh, few pages of the book, and it was a very good ending. Uh, Malcolm Gladwell, he uh, breaks from the regular pattern of telling us, giving uh, a case study almost, and then analyzing that. He shifts that to himself. And then he tells the story of himself, his own story, his own history, and he uh, deconstructs the elements, the factors of success which exist in his own story, and then just to further prove his own the points that he was making in this book. So he begins by telling the legacies, the opportunities, the good fortune that his family faced, and not just himself, but also going back to his grandmother. And he explained how his grandmother was the great granddaughter of Henry Ford, the great businessman who started the Ford company and created the process line, I think it was called. And his grandmother lives in the northwestern side of Jamaica, um, and because of her lighter skin, she's not completely African American. She has a lighter complexion because of her mixed ethnicity. She lives a more privileged life in Jamaica, and uh, and he explained how even going further back in his ancestry, he came from a certain tribe of slaves, where they were like the higher class of slaves, where they didn't have to do as much hard labor. They were called the mulattoes. I think that's how it's pronounced. The mulattoes, where they were slaves, but they were more privileged in a sense. And when their masters died, when their white masters died, the mulattoes inherited a lot of the money, a lot of the fortune, which then they later used for their own needs, such as starting businesses and so on. So that money then became perpetual income for them. And he explained that his grandmother was lucky to be a mulatto. So again, that idea of success being more than just starting with you and ending with you, because it's so much more. And her grandmother just being born there, that gave her the opportunities to have access to success. And and then he ends his his book with this really important quote, and I want to read it for and just to talk about. Uh, so he says that these were history's gifts to my family. So again, the idea of opportunity being more than just more than just starting with you and ending with you. And he says, and if the privileges of that skin tone had been extended to others, how many more would now live a life of fulfillment in a beautiful house high on a hill? Uh, and I think this is a very important and very beautiful quote from Malcolm. He says that sure, his grandmother was lucky to have that lighter skin complexion, and that was the reason why she was more privileged, and the reason why she had that higher aptitude for success. Sure, that was good for her, but what if other people also had that? And what's stopping other people from having that? And so in just these few words, he's able to give a very emotional and very a powerful message to the reader that that something should be done about this. Something should be done about how some people are less privileged than others, and that we should work to create a world where everybody has access at the very least to the minimum requirements that should be there for a person to be successful. The examples that he gave before of having good communication, minimizing that difference in communication where you can't speak to the authority, so reducing that, and in the passage before when he was talking about he was talking about education and Western education and the flaws in Western education. So again, improving our system of academia so people are more educated and more properly educated, uh, and and having access to all of these different factors to in order to be more successful. And so my overall gut feeling on this book is that uh, I there he touched upon some of the things that I was hoping he did, but much of what I wanted from this book he didn't really talk about, and I felt that a lot of what he was going into uh, was kind of obvious in a sense, right? For example, the point about intelligence not being the end all and be all of success, that's kind of obvious. It's not, and so on. But I think that the point that he was trying to make is that often in everyday conversation, even if people don't think that don't truly believe that being intelligent is the true definition of success, often in everyday conversation it seems like that. And when a person is going through high school, such as myself, the most successful thing possible at this stage of our lives is getting the highest marks or being the smartest person in the class or answering all the questions. That is what uh, is the fuel for our self-esteem. And I think that that's the main reason he writes in so much depth about what he writes, um, just to just to refute that point and to refute that false understand a false understanding of what success truly is. Um, and in that sense, I think that this book does fulfill its purpose of giving the reader a better understanding of the factors that are involved in a person being successful.